Hello and welcome everyone to Race Department's Formula FG Championship, race number 7 of season number 5. I'm Aidan Karen and I'm here with the one and only Jim Laad. Hello.
Hello. Yes, it is my return to the commentary box after a while away. I apologise in advance.
Yeah. That's the best way of putting it. So we are here, of course, here in Barcelona for the Spanish Grand Prix, and going straight over to the qualifying results, it was James McNamara who put himself on pole with a late lap. I was able to sneak ahead of Jack Lasky and Daniel Harvey. The two DTKs were on the front row before that. They got shuffled back. Ben Utzer, Ree Martins, and Jordan Bradford are the rest of the top 6. And there's a lot of danger. Well, you know, the top 6, all of them can have a possibility of winning that. And then also, even going down for the rest of the top 10, Stefan Berner, Hugo Rossello, Manolis Sigalakis, and Damien Sun. There's a lot of opportunities for drivers here today, I feel.
Yep, there is, because in 11th and 12th is, well, it's kind of the team of the moment at the moment, Raven West, who since swapping liveries seem to have found another few horsepower and are powering away. They hadn't scored a point and then they suddenly won Joseph Wright in Austria, and now they're 11th and 12th. We have Luke Rosella in 13th, hoping to finish a race because he's unfortunately not been finishing them. Tapio Rinniho in 14th. Now, there's a few interesting stats here with Tapio. If he gets on the podium today, he will become our outright top podium scorer in Formula FG history. He's currently joint first with Joel Rautavaara on 22 podiums. If he gets on there today, he will hit 23 and take the lead. And also, if he manages to win the race and score the full 25 points, he will overtake Joel to become the leading point scorer in Formula FG history. So Tapio's a man to look out for, but the other people to look out for are ART. Apex Racing Team is 9 points away from the magic 1,000 points of all time mark. So if Rossello and Sigalakis manage to score 9 points, we will have our second team over 1,000 points. Aidan.
Yeah, so one of them needs to get to, well, if they get to 5th, they'll do it. If one gets to, what's that, 6th, then one of the other one also needs to be in the top 10. They'll reach it. Another thing with Tapio Rinniho, if he is able to get a podium either here today or at some stage during the season, he will join James McNamara in being the only 2 drivers to have scored a podium in every season. They are the only 2 left that can possibly do that, and, well, Tapio is the only one that hasn't reached that point yet. A couple of others, I think, that are on a podium in 4 seasons. I think Omar Saeed is one of them, but he must be regretting taking that one season off in season 3 now. he would have been right up there with that, I fancy. But nonetheless, all those statistics are relevant at the moment because we're going to go to the grid now for the start of the Spanish Grand Prix.
Here we are on the grid with McNamara on the left and I can't remember who's second. Lasky on the right.
Great start.
We have no lights so far. We have 1 light and that's the second. There's the 3rd light. That's the 4th light and the 5th light. There we go. Race is going to start now. Away they pull from the grid. Decent start there from McNamara and from Harvey. Lasky looks a bit slow off the line. Let's see what happens when they get towards turn 1. Clean start so far. Nobody's made contact. And Harvey's popped into the slipstream. But Lasky's going for the outside line. What's going to happen as they go around the first corner? Well, cars are turning around the first corner. Oh, Lasky's poked his nose ahead. But he's got the outside line for turn 3, and that's going to be McNamara. He comes out the corner in the lead. And we have teammates following into turn 2. Let's hope that turn 4 even. Let's hope they don't crash into each other. Bradford has a look at Harvey, but defends quite nicely. It looks like Sharp has had an absolutely worldly start and has made himself up to 10th from 15th, and that's quite impressive.
Let's see if we can find that.
Yep, he's 11th at this point.
Yeah, he's just gone all the way down the inside there. Cheeky move there by Rob Sharp.
Why not? He's pushed one the Raven West wide. That's a swap between the ART drivers. And same for the Raven West. Saeed has made up 5 places as well, so the Optimas are really on a move already.
You see that there's probably going to be a few people. I think a lot of the drivers are looking at 2 stops today. McNamara might be going either a long first stint in his 2-stop, or he might even be 1-stopping, which is an interesting call by the 2KF1 team, because it's been shown that it hasn't always been the fastest strategy going.
Meanwhile, Jack Lasky has just dived up the inside of McNamara into the turn 10, and well, he's taken the lead. It's not taken long, but the DTK car is back in the lead. Daniel Harvey following. He's had a string of bad luck in terms of reliability and inability to keep his car on the track, so he's looking to add to that win he got at Estoril.
Very similar tracks here as well, Estoril and Barcelona. So
yeah,
might be looking to do the double.
Yeah, both Iberian. Maybe he's just good in Iberia and terrible everywhere else, but we'll see. You got to hope that his employers are aware of this trait. We're going 3 wide, and towards the first corner.
Yeah, battles up and down the straight, and it looks like Rinho going past, I think, Corns as well. Profeli's, or a little bit of a nudge.
That's a spin for one, and the other one's through the gravel. And for a team that's struggling to get finishes, this is really not what they needed.
Absolutely the case. So a little bit of a mistake there from the Profelis. To the back of the grid they go, and they're not too far away from each other, so we might see that occur again if we're not careful.
But the most important thing is they are both still moving.
Absolutely the case. This is the second time we've been to Spain for the Spanish Grand Prix. First time that we had it here at Barcelona, I seem to remember turn 3 as well was a very dangerous corner. A lot of drivers being caught out there going wide and actually reaching the wall, so obviously very high speed going off.
Yeah, it's a fast corner and you touch the gravel and it just sucks you off. You know, outside tyre, that's the loaded tyre, so lose all the grip there and you're in a straight line towards the tyres, so let's hope nobody managed to hit that, or it'll be a massive shame. But Jordan Bradford here watching Harvey, who is looking like he's trying to get past McNamara. McNamara is dropping towards the car behind him rather than getting back towards the car in front of him. So this could be a long afternoon if he is unable to keep Harvey behind.
It definitely has to be said that Lasky here, he's going very short. Like, he'll be in probably in about 10 laps or so. He's going to be in. McNamara's still got about 20 before he's pitting, so
yeah, Harvey looks to be pitting between the two and has managed to get the move done at McNamara well before the breaking point. So that's a DTK 1-2, which, well, we saw that in Estoril, the other Iberian circuit, but this one appears to be down to fuel load, so we'll see how it goes.
And they are splitting, or they seem to be somewhat splitting the strategy last time in Estoril. Very similar strategies, which was proven to be the faster one, but might be a bit more difficult for them this time.
At some point, Damien's son appears to have got past Hugo Rossello. He's up in position from the last time we checked. Zoulakis and Bradford have made up a couple of positions each. McNamara's dropped down, Oots has lost a position, and Martins has not had a great start, down 3 positions already.
absolutely the case. Going through the field, not too much extra change, you would say. So Lasky sort of skipping away a little bit.
Well, he has got one of the lightest fuel loads of everyone on the grid. So he's definitely planning an aggressive 2 or maybe even 3 stop. But, you know, if he's got that little fuel on, he needs to disappear. Because if he's pitting more than everyone else, he's got to make that time up at some point. And
not only that, he's going to probably end up pitting into a pack of cars. It's just more likely that that's going to be the case. That the field probably won't stretch out too much, and even if it does, he's likely to find himself in the middle of something.
Yeah, because if he comes out, say, behind that battle between Martins and Sun, if they're going for another 5-10 laps, you know, they're going to be on light fuel. So Lasky's going to have to hope that the new tyres and just the extra power is going to get him through. But DTK aren't really the most powerful car in the race, so they're just going to have to hope that their massive qualifying skills will get them through it.
And it's worked pretty well for them so far this season. That is for sure.
Definitely, it's interesting how that can sometimes work, and how they've also shown that sometimes completely ignoring qualifying, putting everything into your race pace, works just as well. Didn't quite deliver them a championship in Season 2, but starting 21st and winning the race is something that nobody's quite managed to match or beat since, I think.
I think the closest we had an opportunity. Omar Saeed was absolutely motoring one of the races this season. I've already forgotten which one it was.
It was one of the earlier ones, because
I think it might have been.
despite having a great start to the season, unfortunately Optima have been dropping back. You know, they.
Oh, it was Austria. It was Austria that it started 22nd and looked like he was going to be making his way maybe towards the win, and fell away quite late.
He pitted to inters or wets and needed to get to monsoons at the end, so it was just on the wrong tyres at the wrong time and had to make an extra pit stop.
And even then, once he was on the right tyres, didn't seem like he really had too much going for him.
Now at that point he was on the same as everyone else, so it was all messed up. But here we go, looks like Joseph Wright's having a go at Rui Martins. There towards the first corner. Winner last time out. He's having a go at the Portuguese driver. And again, got the move done before the braking point. At Raven West in its new livery is looking quick.
Definitely the case in both the 2KF1s, even though Martins isn't on what you would consider like a heavier fuel load or anything like that, he's struggling as well, so those cars not working as they should, not set up quite correctly perhaps for the circuit.
Well, we hyped up Apex at the beginning of this race, saying they'd score 9 points to reach that magic 1,000-point bracket, but as it seems to always be this season, at the beginning of the race, even though they've got a massive power advantage, they're dropping back. Sigalakis might be up 2 places, but Rossello's nowhere. You know, there's going to be some investigations at the team to try and work out what is going on.
Here we go down the straight. Might be an opportunity here for Sigalakis onto Stefan Berner. He's pulling up alongside. Doesn't seem quite far enough, and Berner very defensive as well.
It's quite hard to put an overtake on this circuit anyway, but when you've got the widest car on the grid fighting another one of the widest cars on the grid, it's a bit tougher. But black and red car is sticking to the back of the white and blue BRT. Both BRTs still going, neither's had any bad luck at the moment, which after 5 laps is quite incredible. Unfortunately for the team, they've had some pretty awful luck all season since they've returned. They'll be in a good position and then bam, someone spins off or blows up. So it's 43 laps to go. Let's hope that I've not accidentally cursed them. And if I have, I apologise, Toby.
Definitely the case, and yet even so, with all that bad luck, they were still able to pick up quite an amazing win there in the United States at Watkins Glen.
Oh, it was a fantastic win in Watkins Glen. A proper season 1 throwback with BRT versus DTK versus 2KF1 for the win. Yeah, it's the battle everyone's been hoping for, DTK versus BRT, and unfortunately one's been too far ahead of the other for it to quite materialise. They've both got the same engine and it's just not worked for one as well as the other. But we can only hope.
And speaking of engines, that Renault engine of course received quite a boost in the recent in-season test, as did the Mercedes, so the Tier 1 engine's coming through there a little bit.
Yep.
Getting quite an increase in horsepower. Compared to someone like a team like 2KF1, they really struggled in the test. The manufacturers that their partners, Cosworth and Dunlop, didn't bring too much, whereas Renault, Bridgestone, lots of performance coming out of those garages, so DTK ended up making quite a bit of ground.
Yep, so they're pulling away at the front, but the extra boost in pace are being masked by the lighter fuel loads. So really, we're not going to know until the end of the race whether this is just fuel loads or genuine pace. I mean, we can guess it probably is genuine pace, but we're not going to know.
Yeah, you feel that Lasky is probably a lot to do with fuel load. But then Harvey is also... He's not necessarily keeping up with Lasky, but he is pulling away at the same time, so... A little bit of both for them, you would imagine. Question mark really does surround McNamara, I think, at this point in the race. It's like, what is the strategy on this car? What are they going to be doing? When is he going to be stopping?
And when is he going to be stopping in relation to Bradford? Because really, Bradford's his main threat.
Bradford should be sneaking past at any stage now. If McNamara is on the one-stop strategy, then realistically, Bradford isn't his threat. He's the threat to everyone else.
Definitely. Well, I have noticed that Omar Saeed is on the move again. He's up to 14th place now from 21st on the grid. Made that move probably into turn 1. So here we go. Sigalax is having another look at the BRT.
Ooh, not gonna actually go for it there. So that's an interesting one, as Damien's son just cutting across the line there, Joseph Wright. Tapio Rinho has also been able to sneak into the top 10. Yeah, he's on quite a low fuel load as well.
Well, he's made up 4 places in 7 laps. Keep that going, and he can get the win.
I think Tapio's been talking so far this season, and especially in the last week or so, he's just looking for a podium. That's what he wants. He wants the podium. If he can get that, I think he's going to almost say that's a tick for him this season.
Yeah, it's not looking like it's going to be a championship season for Tapio, but there's a lot of tables and a lot of statistics he can top. So I think that's a good aim for the season. As it looks like Oots has finally been passed by Sigalakis, and he's not going to get him around the outside. Simple move up the inside of turn 1, and there we go. Joseph Wright's past Damien's son as well. So the challenger starting to drop back.
And he hasn't got very long until Rinho will be right on the back of him either. So
Saeed's made up another position. He's actually caught up to his teammate, who started 6 places ahead of him.
I think is Rossello on a similar... No, he's even lighter than McNamara, and he's dropping back like a stone. So fuel load's very important here today. Danny Totos, he's showing what a light fuel load can do. He's up to 15th so far, but I'm pretty sure he's still holding the fastest lap of the race at the moment.
To be honest, I haven't noticed who's got fastest lap. But he was forcing driver ahead of him to defend into, well, not an overtaking spot, so he's obviously got some pace. Matthew Allington's dropped back, Rosella's got past him, and they're both two drivers who've seen a marshal's post rather than the checkered flag more times than anyone else seemingly. They're both just hoping to see the checkered flag today. That's aim number one. Aim number 2, points, that's secondary.
Absolutely the case, I think. I'm actually going to go check on that. See if Allington is actually possibly going to be breaking a record of his own here, should he unfortunately have to retire. Because I think he might be on...
He's on 4 consecutive retirements, and that's really not a good thing to be on. Rob Sharp's had 3 retirements, so was Daniel Harvey, so was Tapia Rinyaho, and Luke Rosella, and Danny Totos. So, quite a few guys who want to get to the end here. Well, actually, to be honest, there's 22 guys who want to get to the finish, but there's a few with a bit more desperation for a finish.
Yes, and that is the case. Matthew Allington has, I'm fairly certain that is equalised the record 4 in a row. He's now going for, or he's hoping to avoid taking the outright record there. And, well, I definitely won't blame him for that.
No, I mean, you don't want to do it. It'd be a massive shame if he did, because he's driving such a good looking car. He spent ages making that car look just beautiful. And, you want to keep that on track for as long as you can. Show it off to everyone. Beautiful. So, don't want that pulling off at the side.
Joseph Wright there has also been able to get past Stefan Berner pretty quickly. So, once again, the Raven West on a charge.
I know, it's just very speedy at the moment, since they put their new livery on. And that looks like Damien Sard about to be passed by Tapia Rinyaho.
Yeah, Rinyo shouldn't have too much left either before he'll be coming in. Here you go, Danny Totos into the 119's fastest lap of the race so far. There's Rui Martins in the background there, seemed to be defending a battle that he wasn't actually a part of.
Well, I think it's probably Omar Saeed trying to overtake his teammate and gone, oh no, he's going to pass me as well, and panicked, and then unpanicked because he realised that was a silly thing to do. And it was a silly thing to do because look how close Saeed is to him. They're going to get him into turn 4.
He's up alongside, not quite. On the other hand, Danny Totos, ooh.
Well, he's got the pace. Has he got the overtakes to show for it? Heading towards turn 5, Martin's defends from Saeed. Marcelo is still dropping back. What is wrong with that Porsche engine in that ART?
I'd say Allington back down 22nd at the moment as well.
So
see how long... Yeah, we'll see how long it's going to take for Lasky to come into the pits here. Can't imagine it will be too long.
No. Well, we'll see where he drops back in as well, because that's what's going to matter. Is he going to drop back right behind, say, Sharp and Totos? Is it going to be in clear air? Is he going to be right in 22nd, so he's going to have loads of clear air to make up, or just... It's make or break now. Is pitting too early going to screw him over, or is it going to help?
Absolutely, like the undercut could work, but the overcut has been shown to work as well so far this season, so difficult. He will be going at least another lap.
Well, it's what makes the pit stop so interesting, because you've got is the undercut working today? Are you going to come out in traffic? Or is the overcut going to work because you put loads of fuel in at the start and then you get some clear air because everyone in front of you's got out of the way? Right, looking at Utsa, hasn't got him, but Rinyaho has got past Stefan Berner quite easily, it seems. Maybe Damien Sun can capitalise.
Wouldn't be at the moment. Joseph Righteous having gone back a little bit there behind Utsa. Rinyaho running so light at the moment, and it's working well for him. You get the feeling though that, you know, on this track, track position isn't necessarily as important. There's a lot of good overtaking opportunities, and car speed is what you want, not track position.
We've seen enough overtakes.
Going this light early means that at some stage you're going to have a heavy fuel load.
All they're doing basically is scoping out where to overtake and how to do it, so that when they come up behind the traffic they can just go and they're past. Said, it's taken him 11 laps to make up 10 positions. That is very impressive. He keeps that going, he's going to finish in minus 30 seconds or something. And I mean, that's just insane. Please, somebody watch this race. Tell me exactly what the number will be.
He's going to be finishing at some stage in like season 3. Oops.
Oh, Sigalax has spun off. That's
a weird one. The angle that he was going in there is...
He's just understeered and...
that explains it a little bit more.
No, it's just spun and got it beached. Well, yeah, he was in 5th place, the magic 5th place that would have got ART enough points to hit 1,000 points. But unfortunately, that spin has cost him.
No, he's stuck. He's done.
He's done. That's it. There we go. That's the first massive shame of the race. Manolo Sigulakis. Oh! Hang on. We have a DTK off on the right.
And it's Lasky.
What's happened there?
Engine has gone.
That's what, the second DTK in a row, second race in a row that a DTK has blown up for the race lead?
He was coming in. I think he was coming into the pits as well this lap. So he couldn't do the same thing that he did in Austria. He was 1 lap short.
It's blown up about half a metre too late for him. And there we have it. Our championship leader. Well, he's going to keep the championship lead after this race because he's got 25-point lead over McNamara, I think. And on countback, he'll still keep the lead if McNamara takes the lead, wins the race. But that is a massive shame as well. So that's interesting because that's thrown a spanner into the works. What's going to happen now? Rossello's dropped back. He got off as well. What's going on?
Hang on, now something's happened here. He's gotten into a tangle with someone. So there goes Lasky pulling off.
That looks like
yellow flags at the moment. Yellow flags at the moment, and then shoved off. You haven't seen that. I have not seen that in a long time. Oh, he actually hit the barrier there as well with the back of the car. I don't think I've seen anything like that, but it was tricky because they were all fighting as they came into a yellow flag zone.
Now, haven't we seen this before, where whenever I commentate on a race, if Apex are racing, it usually ends up as a complete disaster for them. I'm sure I had an Apex at some point a few series back, and I apologise. Oh dear. I've done it again, accidentally. So now this promotes Bradford up into 3rd. He's still not managed to get past McNamara. Now, can he make amends for Austria and get his first win?
Well, you really got to give it to him. Like, it wasn't really his fault in Austria, so...
Oh, exactly. I mean, you could say it's Damien's fault for, coming back on the line after crashing, but then you could say it was Jordan's fault for ignoring yellow flags, so, half of one, 6 of one, half dozen of the other. Looks like we have the first few pit stops as Rinho and Totos have come in. That promotes Saeed up to 8th. He's doing a good job still. And that looks like Sun trying to get past Burner.
Yeah, I think he's going to be able to do it as well.
This also puts the Profellis back up towards where they started the race. So recovering from that early spin, you know, if you're going to spin out, make sure you do it very early in the race so that you've got time to make up the time.
There you go, all 3 cars there having taken their pit stops. Slightly differing fuel loads. Rinho with around 20 laps, Totos 19, and then about 23 for Corns.
So none of them aiming to get to the end of the race, but it's a 2-stop, so yep, Bradford's made the move. Turn 1 maybe?
It probably was. See how he's going to be able to go now. He's on a similar fuel load to Harvey. The Falcon team and the Mercedes engine, big winners in the in-season test at Silverstone during the week. And we'll see now, is he going to be able to pull back towards the front here?
He definitely has a race pace advantage over Harvey up front. But
it's just that now these two are battling with each other. McNamara is actually going to be able to take this position back now, you'd imagine, under brakes. Ooh, not quite. It's going to be Bradford holding around the outside. We'll see if that maybe gives him a little bit of a gap to be able to work on. I think McNamara here needs to just relax and just get into a rhythm behind Bradford. He doesn't need to be fighting and losing time, just needs to try to get back up to Harvey. See, they've lost 0.4 of a second in the first sector alone.
Harvey probably went down that straight, looked behind, saw them side by side, and just thought, yes, that's a bigger gap behind. Keep battling, please. All this it's all promoted Joseph right up to 4th, you know. He's looking like a dark horse for this championship now.
Could well be. He's going to be pitting in this lap though, so we'll see how that works out for him. As we try to go back in there is Rinho, so he's a long way. There's a lot of gap between him and Rossello, a lot of clear air. Come to think of it, that probably would have put Harvey right on the back of Rossello with that pit stop. He was quite a long way ahead, so
Well,
would have been nice to see what would have happened to Harvey, but probably won't be able to. Lasky, sorry, yeah, indeed. Yeah, Joseph Wright in this lap then.
If your engine's going to blow up, at least wait till some strategies happen so we don't finish the race with a load of what-ifs. You know, the engines could have been a bit more courteous.
True. So here we go. Bradford has been able to just gap McNamara slightly.
I mean, McNamara, if he's on a 1-stop, he doesn't want to destroy his tyres too much, because those have got to last for quite a while.
He's still got himself probably another 6 laps before he pits, whereas the 2 at the front will be pitting in probably around 2.
Yep, that's Danny Totos has set another fastest lap. So, I don't know what it is about him, but obviously he loves being quickest in the race. Just needs to work on his qualifying and he'll be right up the front.
I mean, you say that, apart from the wet session, I think he was 7th in Austria in the wet session. I believe this is his best result in the dry session. I think he started 18th.
Damien Sun up to 5th. He'll
be coming in this lap.
Yeah, back into fourth. As he heads to the pit lane. Which will move Omar Saeed up into sixth. Even more
He's going for
positions.
fifth. He's going for fifth already. He's
So
going
all
to have
this-
to make. He's going to have to make the pit in at the end of this lap as well. So he wants to have the best in lap that he can.
So all this crap I was saying at the beginning about Optima being slow and dropping off from the beginning of the season appears to have been thrown straight in my face. Saeed, who still, for reasons which nobody understands, hasn't managed to win a race yet. He's been
At
so
all.
close on so many times, yet he's never quite made that final leap.
There you go, Joseph Wright there, ahead of Ben Utz, Tapio Riniho right on the back of the German, and Danny Totos. Now
Man on
up into
fire.
15th. He's right behind him as well. He's going great guns at the moment. Engbrink there, he's ahead of Nathan Corns. Luke Rosella has come out behind them once more.
Bradford just starting to slightly close up to Harvey.
He's been keeping it quite close. The big thing that hurt him was that 0.4 of a second that him and McNamara lost battling through the first sector. You come to see, it's amazing to think that you can look back at Canada and you can say, it's amazing that you can say, this one mistake on James McNamara, for instance, probably cost him the entire race.
Mm.
You got to, and all of a sudden you start looking at little things like losing 0.4 of a second in the first sector, and you think, wow, that was unnecessary. That could be important. And as Saeed there into the pit lane he comes. We're mainly looking for Joseph Wright. Here he is. Quite a handy amount of fuel on board.
They're still going to have to stop again.
Ooh, Saeed he's only just started leaving the pit bay. So Wright
Well,
goes by.
he's been doing the overtaking show, so we're going to see him do it again, but he's going to join into a three-way battle. Make it 4 into turn 1. This is going to end badly. But Saeed's appeared.
And he comes. Oh. Somehow nobody loses their front wing there, and Saeed sneaks ahead.
Well, I'm
Riniho
glad I
chasing him
wasn't
down.
driving any of those cars, because that looked a bit squeaky close.
Yep. Now Utsa here running quite heavy. He's not going to the end of the race, but he'll be going quite close and have very light final stint.
Yeah. Well, it's the Formula E strategy. Pit late, new tyres, more fuel, more power. Just do the final stint very quickly. So here we go. Our race leader's about to head into the pits.
Yep, he goes in. Bradford's going to follow him, so it'll be James McNamara now to take the lead.
Well, take back the lead that he lost on the first lap. So with his championship challenger pulled off in the gravel at turn 1, this is a fantastic opportunity for McNamara to get back towards the top of the championship. He's not quite going to make it to count back, but this is an opportunity to close up to Lasky again and stop him disappearing into the distance.
Definitely the case. Harvey didn't have quite a clean stop there. I think Damien's son pulling in to the challenger bay just slowed him down a little bit.
But this is exactly what McNamara needed. Harvey, and what Bradford needed. Harvey's pulled out right behind 3 cars. So this is going to hold him up. You know, Rossello's light, but he's still got another 2 laps in that car. And then you've got, I think that's Allington and Rodriguez ahead of him. All of which is going to pit in the next 2 laps, but time lost behind them could allow Bradford to catch up and McNamara to jump them.
Definitely the case. It's Joseph Wright. See Saeed next in line. Then Damien Sun, I noticed that he's popped out there just ahead of Tapio Riniho. So Riniho not doing too well there. He's having everyone come out of the pits just ahead of him.
Yeah, his bid for that record podium is slightly hindered at the moment, but this is Formula FG. Anything can happen.
Very much the case. He is lighter than Damien Sun at the moment, so he might be able to make a move at some stage.
Stefan Berner picks for second place.
Yep, if that's the case. Martins is going to come in as well.
So at least another nap for Rodriguez and Rossello. But Allington's got another 2 or so in him. Harvey's looking racy. Is he going to get past the Frenchman into turn 1?
Well, he's the first one to pull out to the inside. But he's going to probably find, yeah, he's got no slipstream there. Now he's going to be stuck back on the outside.
So he's now going to be stuck behind the car that isn't getting out of his way at the end of this lap, which I'm sure is going to thrill the Englishman. But Allington can run wide.
Oh, and there you go, and the big Harvey there having to pull out of that battle. That's going to lose him quite a bit of time. Bradford is closing in on him. Rossello is joyous, no doubt. He's been able to just release himself from Allington.
All this has allowed Rodriguez to get a small gap, which means he will benefit when he pits. And Bradford is closed right up on the back of Harvey. He's made up 1 and a bit seconds since the pit stop.
Well, before the pit stop there was 3 seconds. I think it was 1.2 seconds difference actually in having stopped in the pit lane. And he's down to 0.9 of a second now.
But Harvey's got a good run here. We've already seen a DTK overtake into this corner, but Allington is defending hard. He doesn't want to lose that position.
Definitely not making it easy on Harvey. And now Bradford. Oh, and Harvey's gone off there. He's gone into the gravel. Running wide there behind the fantastic racing team car. He's now lost the position to Bradford. He's lost a lot of time. Joseph Wright is bearing down on him. And Omar Saeed isn't too far away either.
Well, Rodriguez and Rossello have pitted.
Yep, so they'll sneak on in now.
I can almost see the laser beams coming out of Harvey's eyes to the back of that fantastic, trying to make it blow up. But there's a Falcon in the way, and that's got some kind of blocker beam that's stopping that happening, so whatever. There's loads of pit stops happening, and I haven't got a clue what's happening either. But Harvey's down to 4th, or up to 4th, because pit stops have happened. And it's all green now.
Yeah, still waiting on 2 pit stops, which are, of course, Matthew Allington, who's in 2nd, James McNamara, who's still got himself a little bit of extra time. Another lap, I think, after this one. So he might come in at the end of the next lap, is what I'm saying. At the moment in the lead. Allington, quite the same.
Yeah, Bradford's probably going to catch up to Allington within the next lap, but I don't think he's going to need to overtake him, because when he's close enough, he's just going to pull off into the pits. So, the big battle really is, where's McNamara going to rejoin?
I think McNamara will probably be coming out around Saeed. I wouldn't be surprised. He will be pitting in at the end of this lap as well, so we'll see. And I think the important thing that we need to see from McNamara is, what is the strategy? Is it to the end? Is it to stop? Because he could be coming home very light in 2 stints compared to a lot of other drivers.
Yeah, but he's gone far enough. It's not really worth making a second pit stop from now, as Bradford pulls to the inside of Allington, completely throwing the words I just said out the window. Bradford shows Daniel Harvey exactly how to get past the fantastic racing team car.
Indeed, does it at the best overtaking point on the track.
And doesn't run wide on the exit of the next corner either.
Oh, very well. turn 3. I mean, that's a risky call right there that you made, but correct
He
one
made it
nonetheless.
uptake into turn 1. He was fine through turn 2. So my words were fine, even if he did go off at turn 3. That wasn't what I said.
Stefan Berner here is putting in some decent split times at the moment. He's got Rinyaho chasing him down, Danny Totos as well. Damien Sun has just fallen back a little bit towards Utsa, and Rob Sharp as well. Not looking too bad at the moment. Back through the field a little bit. So here we go, race leader coming in now. He has a 22-second lead over Jordan Bradford.
He was already gapped Allington by a second. And Harvey's another 1.5 behind, so that's 2.5 seconds. Harvey is behind Bradford. Is McNamara going to slip in between them or behind them? That's the main issue. Allington does pit.
Yeah, Bradford's coming on to the straight now. McNamara, the 2KF1 pit box is quite one of the first ones, but he's come out pretty quick there. Quick stop and a very light fuel load, so he is going to stop here. And he's been able to get himself back out into second place. Harvey is nowhere near being able to close down on him there, so McNamara here with a golden opportunity. He's going to be chasing down Bradford. Very big call there from the 2KF1 pit wall, that is for sure.
I need to stop saying things about the future, because every time I say it, they're going to do the opposite. Like, oh, there's no point stopping. McNamara 2 stops. Right, what else?
I think a lot of the teams had done somebody's gone
there's
off.
a wheel there.
No, that's a Profeli.
That's Profeli. Is it the Profeli that's not been finishing races, though?
We'll see if it's Davizioso. It looks like, yeah, it's definitely Davizioso.
And that is a large
impact. Ripped. Yeah, ripped the entire left-hand side of the car off there.
Well, that's another massive shame of the day. It's not been a great day for Profeli. They had their accident at the start of the race, and there must have been some damage in there because it's finally broken. And blue car has bounced off the tyre wall, and there are 2 more tyres that can join it. So after running as high as second, Matthew Allington has dropped all the way back to 19th. That's how close the field is. 1 pit stop and you're last.
Well, yes, and not only that, he will be making another stop as well. He's back onto the 2-stop strategy. But as I was saying, I think a lot of the teams were doing simulation runs for the race, and one stopping was horrendously slow. It was terrible.
Yeah, because we've not even made it to half distance yet.
I think one such simulation run, you looked at some of the times that the teams were coming out with, and the 2 stoppers, doesn't matter where they started in the entire 22 car field, 2 stoppers were the first 12 cars. Then came the 1 stoppers. So obviously there's variations and mistakes in this and that and whatnot, but it was very clear to the teams that 1 stopping was never really going to be a viable option. That did seem to be the case.
Well, I don't think at any point we've mentioned the potential spanner in the works, because the weather forecast showed that towards the end of this race we may see a sprinkling of rain, and that could turn these 2 stoppers into 3 stoppers, and anyone who takes a long kind of mid-set stop could find themselves wanting to pit at the right time to switch to inters.
It did seem to be quite light, so definitely the case is, yeah, you got to ask what is going to happen. You know, are they going to go for it? Because light rain going down the pit lane, you know, you're going to end up losing 25 odd seconds. It's not really worth it if you're only going to make about 15 up.
I mean, we did see in Austria, we had some people running wet tyres and some people still out on slicks, and the slicks were still faster. So, you know, these slick tyres, although there's no tread patterns on them, they can do quite well when it gets damp. So it would just be a little bit greasy and might have a few spinning off, but will it be enough to scare a few teams into a pit stop?
Definitely the question, Joseph Ray. Oh, here comes Omar Saeed. Looking for it, but won't find it just yet.
Yeah, 21st on the grid and looking for 4th place.
Oh, Danny Totos, he's got himself a problem there.
Again for the Hungarian, in the points, looking really good. He's had fastest lap pretty much every time we've looked down the screen. And again, something's broken on that car.
Yeah, it was an electrical problem, it seemed.
Yeah, the Aston Martin, it's obviously a decent race engine, but it just breaks things in it. So
I guess
again,
that's what happens. It's a 6-litre V12. It's very big in the back of that car, and a lot of things can go wrong. At the moment, we'll see. He might be able to get himself back to the pits there. See how much he's going to impact other runners, as Zoot's going to have to take avoiding action. Martin's the next one come through. But this is what you were saying as well, that some drivers might be able to find themselves, you know, maybe looking at getting onto a wet tyre at some stage. There's McNamara fast lap of the race, so taking that away from Totos.
Yeah,
but if he pits in now, they may opt to take the risk that the rain will come. So he may end up making a 3rd stop.
Yeah, at this point, you either fuel it to the end, or you look out the window, try and work out how fast the clouds are moving and when the rain's going to fall, and then stop talking about something stupid and hypothetical and focus on the fact that we might have an overtake for the lead.
Very true. See, McNamara closed right in on the back of Bradford here.
I must have been side by side down the start line because it was 0.068 across it.
And Bradford getting defensive, so McNamara is definitely putting him under a lot of pressure. See what the run onto the back straight here is like.
Well, they put him on light fuel and given him new tyres and said, destroy him. Go out there and drive as fast as you can. Take the bull by the horns and get that race win. So he's
just not quite able to find it there, McNamara. He is chasing that race win, like you said. That would bring him up to equalising at the top of the Drivers' Championship. Now coming onto the main straight, this is the main overtaking opportunity. 2KF1, however, the Cosworth engine is giving up a little bit of top end to the Mercedes, and this is a long straight where McNamara is probably not going to find enough there. Indeed, I think he's already behind once again, so yeah, he pulls back into the slipstream.
He's having another look, but the main question is this letting Harvey catch up? It's 2.5 seconds, which I did notice earlier what it was, so I can't really compare. Tell me in the comments below, is he catching up? McNamara looks in the inside in turn 4. Not going to make it. It's not an overtaking position unless you want to squeeze them off onto the grass on the right and just spin off. But we're not going to do that. That's a stupid thing to do.
Yeah, at the moment it seems that McNamara needs to just back off a little bit and try to get a lot more slipstream down probably the main straight and be ducking out of it quite late, as opposed to as he's doing quite early on. He's just not finding himself enough speed to be able to overtake the Falcon. This ended up hurting. For Bradford as well, you got to be looking at a little bit of race knowledge. He's probably not doing himself any favours here. If Harvey's continuing to catch up, we're talking there's a 5 lap difference in fuel between Bradford and Harvey. When they come in, that's 5 laps less fuel that DTK need to put into their car. That being said, it does seem that Harvey is actually still dropping off this group. These two are just flying at the front at the moment.
But again, he's pulled out too early. This was always a problem at Dijon as well. People trying to overtake too soon, and it just didn't help them towards the end of the straight. Saeed having another look for 4th place.
Might be the same problem here for Saeed. He's maybe far enough up. It's going to be under braking as to whether he gets the job done. Down into turn 1. Joseph Wright going to defend on the outside, and he will defend successfully. McNamara trying to find literally anywhere to make this happen. Can't quite find it. As go back down the field a little bit. 3 cars battling here. Profelli, Challenger, and Fantastic. Into the first corner. I think everyone's just holding position.
So
3 Martins here.
Yeah,
On the back of Benuta as well.
Engbrink's, well, no, it's not the sole remaining Karen anymore. Totus is still going, but he's now got a bit higher. He's, well, 10 places from last on the grid. Rinhao up to 7th. As, well, the main mover, Saeed, is really desperate to make this overtake, but Joseph Wright does not want to let him through at all. He's hoping that fireworks happen up here and he can just sneak another cheeky win.
Definitely the case. Back onto the straight again. McNamara a bit further behind in the slipstream this time. This might work well for him. Although he's just lost a lot of time. Bradford also going to be pitting in at the end of this lap, so maybe he's found just a little bit more. Fuel load hit a really nice level that he's now going to start to pull away a little bit, it seems.
Yeah, it looks like Rinihau's going to be pitting this lap, so he's going to be the first to pit. Kind of the second stop. As Saeed was again close.
Similar fuel loads on these 2 cars. Meanwhile, Stefan Berner just slowly coming to the back of them, and he's fueled quite well as well, Berner, in fact. So he'll be looking at going a little bit deeper and maybe going the overcut there with a quick pit stop.
Oh no, it must be Bradford who's coming in this lap then.
Absolutely the case, yep.
So the race leader is, well, he's done well to hold McNamara behind him for as long as he can.
See, Danny Totos actually has fueled to the finish.
Well, it may as well. No.
So they're sticking to the 2-stop strategy, but that's going to be lost time due to that electrical fault. He basically had the entire lap to go around with it. That, and he's going to also be on a heavy fuel load going through.
So here's where the interesting part of the race really starts. We have the second pit stop starting. McNamara is going to be flying for another 2 or 3 laps. Bradford's in first after this leading 3. What can McNamara do now? Harvey's caught up 8/10 in that last sector. So was that McNamara being slowed by the traffic or genuine pace? Probably not genuine pace, but
I think it would have been Bradford coming in, had to slow down on the racing line. Saeed looks like he's far enough up this time, and yes, he's going to get it done.
and there we go, up to 3rd, 21st on the grid.
So he's got quite a distance up to Daniel Harvey though. See if he's going to be able to slowly chip away at that, maybe looking for a podium. Oh, Joseph Wright. Ooh, close.
He's done well to save that, because we saw Dovizioso, once you go wide there, you're not coming back. So,
well, he went off at a good point. It was the end of the corner as opposed to mid-corner like Dovizioso.
Yeah, impressive catch to stop him spinning off. You know, he might like that wall, he might want to touch it, but he's not quite going to make it.
Absolutely. Now Utah has Rui Martins on his case. In brink there. And there's Jordan Bradford come out right in front of Nathan Corns, who's looking menacing at the moment. The Australian looking for the overtake. It's not going to be helping Bradford at all. Corns making moves like that. Now we'll get an idea. Harvey has already lost half a second to McNamara in 2 sectors.
Well, it is a lighter fuel load and better tyres, so it's all going to come down to the final stint. And as you say, slightly less fuel to put in means a slightly shorter pit stop time.
Does seem though that there are a couple of drivers and cars coming through at the moment that have got slightly better pace than Harvey. Even Saeed is slowly chipping away. He's taken a couple of tenths out this lap. Fastest lap of the race by McNamara. That's exactly what he needed, a 1:19.5. And he's blitzed that gap to Daniel Harvey. He'll be coming in this lap.
Damien Sun's up to 6th somehow.
Yeah, Rinyaho coming in now as well.
So Falcon opting to get their pit stops done early. No doubts, so Bradford there. Corns is close, but he's managed to keep him behind. Hopefully not lost too much time there. As again, Rossello was trying to get back through the pack and just being caught up in it all.
Bit there for Rinyaho, fuel to the end. You can see just how much time Toto Sendes has ended up losing through all of that.
Well, he's made up one position, I suppose. That's something. 3 seconds already. Yeah, McNamara's just gone for it. So he wants this win badly. He knows he needs to win. With Lasky out the race, this is his opportunity. Saeed from 21st on the grid, he's going to be desperate to get on that podium and just show off what he can do. Although to be honest, he's hoping that Bradford, McNamara and Harvey appear together and then disappear off into the same gravel trap so he can finally get a win. But is that going to happen? Well, we've got 18 laps. Keep watching.
Very, very possible. Here comes Bradford then, coming through the final 2 corners.
Is this going to be far enough? Because McNamara's pace has been incredible and he's had to put less fuel in.
And he's already coming out.
There's Ingrid, there's Guardian, there's Bradford, and I think McNamara's kept it.
Yeah, I think he absolutely has. Those laps as he was coming into the pits were just sizzling from McNamara. Like a hot Australian afternoon, just flying, just smoking too. So now it all comes down to Harvey at the moment, who was losing time to McNamara in bucket loads.
He appears to have just kind of started to gap Saeed again. Yeah, to come down.
Well, Saeed has actually been steadily bringing it down. He was at 5.2, I think, and he's been taking down a couple of tenths every lap. There goes another 1/10.5 in that sector. And they're on similar fuel, though I think Saeed will probably be coming in next lap, whereas Harvey will have another one to go. I think for Harvey, though, Burnham might be a very dark horse. He's got some really good pace at the moment for his fuel load. Indeed, Saeed will come in at the end of this lap.
Yep, Sharp is pitted from 6th place, net something. And that leaves Damien.
It'll be somewhere around 10th, that's for sure. Well, here we go, Ben Utz and Rui Martins. This is a scrap for possibly lower points. And they're both fueled quite well as well. Now, I think that is Martins actually sneaking his nose ahead down into the first corner.
You can see in the background there.
No.
maybe not.
Utsa doing just enough.
You can see in the background there, McNamara has got one of the fantastic racing team cars placed perfectly between him and Bradford. So even if Bradford does suddenly find some pace, he's got a car to get past before he can do anything. So McNamara with a nice looking buffer. It's looking very good for this race win. But we have no idea what kind of godly pace that Harvey has produced in this gap between them pitting. I mean, it's close to his personal best, but is his personal best that good? Not really, it doesn't seem. And as you say, Saeed is catching.
119 is his personal best at the moment, which is a couple of tenths off what McNamara was doing. Yeah, so Harvey will be in at the end of this lap as Saeed is coming in now. Stefan Berner going straight through. Joseph Wright next lap, I assume, as well.
Yep, here he comes.
Indeed so.
Oh, and there we go. McNamara is behind Engbrink now. Is he going to make?
Now this is important for McNamara. He needs to clear Engbrink here. He can't afford to be stuck behind him for too long. Here's Saeed coming out now. It's Bradford that's gone by. And Saeed, well, this is actually going to be a pretty decent idea of where Daniel Harvey's going to come out. That looks to be a little bit more than 4 seconds.
And it would seem that McNamara still hasn't got past Engbrink. He's just managed to keep the position in the next corner. He has. Both 2KF1s have failed to pull off their overtakes. At least into turn 1.
You get an idea of what the gap... So it's 3.2 seconds, so Harvey is probably going to be somewhere around Jordan Bradford and Chris Guardian, which is actually right on the back of McNamara, so this is actually going to be quite close, that is for sure. Daniel Harvey coming through the final couple of corners before heading into the pits.
Get out your calculators, boys, let's work this out. Or stick around for another 20 seconds and find out where he pops out.
So in he comes. Question as well, I'm trying to think which team is ahead. I think Raven West is ahead of, in the pit lane, ahead of DTK, so there probably isn't going to be any delay for Daniel Harvey there.
Engbrink holding position quite steadfastly over James McNamara. Is that going to be the difference between first and second for Daniel Harvey? You know, could Engbrink be getting a massive Christmas card from the DTK team if Harvey pulls out ahead of McNamara?
Oh, it doesn't look like it's going to be enough for him.
Not going to be enough, but is he going to make it past Bradford?
Oh, and there goes McNamara just sneaking ahead down towards turn 1.
I bet he's ahead
Daniel
of
Harvey.
Guardian.
Yeah, well ahead of Guardian and Bradford, therefore. And there's a yellow flag in this area. Oh, and Damien's son has put it in. Put it into the wall there. It looks like it's going to be a Dovizioso run.
Yeah.
Yep.
Tyres have given up at the end of the race, and they're also going and joining the tyre wall. Debris is bouncing around. Let's hope it doesn't clip anyone on the track, because that would be cruel and ironic. Luckily they haven't. They're nice in the gravel track, and we have an enormous queue there.
So everything very similar then for the leaders. Cramped up here at the moment. It's defending on Engbrink a little bit. Martin's here just going to be able to skip away a little bit. Stefan Berner, all of a sudden this is now, you know, his time to shine. Maybe look at getting himself up a couple of extra positions. He's got himself another lap in clear air, whereas the rest of the leaders are stuck in a, well, what, 6-car battle pack, starting with Ben Utsa in currently third. McNamara effectively leading. Now look at now, Saeed isn't too far away either from the back of Bradford.
Saeed's still looking good for a podium. You know, if this pack survives and blocks for too long, he could get on the top 3 from, well, the last row of the grid.
That will be a great effort by him, that is for sure. Stefan Berner going to come in next lap. Ben Utz still got plenty of time before he's due in. Comes McNamara, going to have a look. You might find it a bit easier. Actually, Engbrink's also gotten past Utz there at some stage. I missed that completely. So is McNamara going to find it easier to get past the BRT? Probably not, seeing the BRT also has himself a slipstream.
Well, this is allowing Harvey to catch up. And after looking horrifically slow at that second stint, he is looking like, well, top dollar for the win.
I mean, we do say that. He's had himself well over a lap, and I don't think he's made much of that gap up. That's the same sort of gap that he had, you know, once it all sort of stabilised around this point on his outlap. So
yeah, he's playing the long game. Looks like the top 3 are all pitting this lap. So that will finally release McNamara. We can see whether my statement was correct or wrong.
As I mentioned though, I think Stefan Berner here is going to be the important one to look out for. Where is he going to be popping out in a moment? Martins and Engbrink, somewhat irrelevant to the impacting on this race.
I was about to say, I think Martins and Engbrink will have something to say about being called irrelevant.
To the top end of this race, they're very relevant, but not in respect to the lead of this race. Now this is going to be tricky here because Engbrink's going to be coming in on the racing line. That could just hold Utz up a little bit here. Yeah, definitely the case. McNamara and Harvey now. Straight onto the back. Berner's in. See now with no slipstream. Utz versus McNamara.
Well, Harvey sticking the slipstream and just slipstream past McNamara on the left.
It's definitely a possibility now. See what's going to happen down here. So McNamara on the inside, sticking in close to the back of Utz. Harvey sticking in third, which is effectively second.
What's happened there is they've gone into that corner and come out exactly the same position as they went in.
Definitely the case. Now Berner has found himself into, I think, effectively fifth. He is well ahead of Joseph Wright there. There's Saeed onto the back of Bradford.
Utz defending heavily into turn 5.
At the back of the field, Rosella, Allington, Rossello, Rodriguez, Corns. Engbrink has pitted. Martins has actually come out behind Danny Totos, who, even though he had to pit earlier, gone pretty well for him.
Well, the team did the right thing and filled him up to the end, so he didn't have to pit again. So it's minimised the impact that that small electrical problem had. Now Harvey's just taking the correct line around all these corners. McNamara's just finding Utz really annoying. I have a feeling that there's a Christmas card list by an Australian getting ever so slightly smaller as this race goes on.
A bit of a gap there now. Just forming. It's once again that case where Utz just finds a little bit. Bradford did the same thing to McNamara when he finds he's going to be coming in at the end of the lap, though. This could get interesting. Getting down into the first corner. McNamara.
Meanwhile, it looks
is he
like
far enough up?
Saeed's going for.
Ooh, McNamara going to make the overtake.
Harvey gonna...
But is Utsa going to be able to hold off? Yes, he's held off Harvey, so Harvey's been stuck there behind Utsa as McNamara skips away. And Guardian, in fact, is now going to be looking to make an overtake there onto Daniel Harvey.
Well, Harvey shuts the door and says, I don't think so.
Problem now for Harvey, and I was going to make mention of it before, when the cars are coming into the pit lane, they're on the racing line, they're slowing up. McNamara doesn't have to worry about that. He's in clear air, he's in the lead, he's fine. Harvey, if he catches up to the back of Utsa and doesn't overtake him, will get slowed up. And then he might be pushed back a little bit further towards Bradford and Saeed here. And meanwhile, look at Stefan Berner just slowly getting onto the back of these two as well. He's on for he's a really good chance for a podium here.
Yeah, well, we're still waiting for these two extras to pit at the front. Harvey not looking like he's going to make a move here. I think he's learned his lesson about trying to overtake into turn 10 when he lost the lead earlier. So he's just happy to sit behind and, well, take the loss. But all of this is allowing McNamara to escape. It might just be one lap, but it's one crucial lap. Utsa comes in the pits, slows up Harvey, so does Guardian.
Yeah, that's definitely happened.
And now, can Saeed finally get past Jordan Bradford? Now there's clear air ahead of them.
Ooh. He's definitely looking for it. He's a long way up, Saeed. If he clears Bradford soon, and he might be far enough up, though Bradford might be able to make a defensive move on the outside. If he's able to make this, then the opportunity of taking Harvey is very realistic for Omar Saeed. Down under brakes, up the inside goes the Turkish driver. He is through, so he's past Jordan Bradford.
But
Stefan Berner not too far behind this either, so Bradford might have a little bit more pain heaped onto him. Daniel Harvey now finds himself 2 seconds, 2 seconds behind James McNamara with 1 second back to Omar Saeed. What will happen first? Will Saeed catch up, or will Harvey catch up to McNamara, or will he be caught by Omar Saeed? Looking in the back half after that pit.
yeah, it looks like Toto's
There's
back in
Utsa.
the top 10. Despite his issues.
Brink in 11th, Martins in 10th. And then straight McNamara. Get an idea. So Harvey actually catching up a little bit, and he's keeping away from Saeed at the same time. So he might actually be able to catch up. He's got plenty of time. Probably only needs to get to about, I think, 8/10 or so before he can start to get the slipstream.
Yeah, because we're going to start talking about tyre life, because McNamara pitted first, Harvey pitted a bit later, and Harvey's just used his tyres to keep up, whereas McNamara's been trying to pull overtake, so he might have overdone his tyres now. And Harvey's just, you know, got that extra bit of rubber in there, a little bit more grip, and as the race goes on towards the end of the stint, it could start showing. You know, this race isn't over yet. Not just for the lead.
It's a very good way of putting it. Saeed, though, doesn't seem to quite have enough. Berner seems to be definitely the man on the move at the moment.
Exactly. Just because Harvey might not be able to take the win, we don't even know Berner could take it. Martin's completing the top 10, so 2KF1 bookending the points at the moment. Rossello, he's still going. So is Allington. Those two engines have got 10 more laps to hold up.
And then straight, Harvey still sticking. Well, 1.8 didn't make too much time up there, but
It's 6 thousandths. I mean, it's nothing. I mean, we were talking earlier though that, you know, small time gaps it does add up in the end. And yeah, 6/10 might seem like nothing, but if he wins the race by 6/10, he's happy with those 6/10. And I mean thousands.
Yeah. 0.6 of a second. I think a lot of people would be very happy with 0.6 of a second right about now.
Yeah.
See,
to be honest,
Saeed.
0.6 of a second of sleep would be quite good. It's 2:05 in the morning.
We're seeing at the moment though, it's Saeed here. Like, it looks like he's making up or losing it about 1/10 of a second, but he's just hovering around the point at which it rounds up or down. So he's actually got basically the same amount of speed as Daniel Harvey ahead of him.
Look how far Jordan Bradford has dropped back.
Oh,
he's lost a position.
There we go.
And Wright's there as well.
Yeah, so Bradford struggling now late in the race, and he was the first to pit, don't forget. He was the first of all the leaders to pit.
Yeah, so...
Whereas Stefan Berner here was the last one, so...
Like my McNamara hypothesis, I think Bradford's tyres have just gone, you know what? I don't want to have any more grip. I've had enough now. Good luck skating around the track for the last 9 laps.
McNamara does seem to be holding, weirdly enough. It's through the section where tyres would probably be most important, tyre grip, tyre life. Through the second sector, McNamara is still holding his own. It's mainly the straight, the long straight, where the Cosworth engine isn't far and above better than the full DTK package of the Renault engine and the chassis. He's holding his own through most of the twisty stuff.
Right, again, could be down to time preservation,
right.
or just he's better there. But Bradford's dead tyres are really showing up now as Joseph Wright. Easy pass.
Oh, lock up as well there for Bradford.
So not helping anymore, much as he can, and Engbrink is 1 position away from Kerr getting a double points finish, and it's going to be quite valuable for the team if they can pull that off. Saeed sticking around the 1 second mark. They're either all at the limit and they just can't keep up with each other, or they're all just playing it cagey and waiting for the moment to strike, you know, not getting too close so they destroy their tyres and just waiting for the person to crack in front.
That is a possibility though. McNamara, even if it's hundredths of a second, seems to be doing that in the reverse order. He's cracked Harvey almost. He's just slowly pulling away. Harvey isn't making up that time that he was beforehand. Saeed isn't... Well, look, actually, we need to see a more accurate representation of what Saeed is behind, but McNamara has been just getting a little bit of time here and there on Harvey. Yeah, out to 1.6, and Saeed is down to 9/10 of a second. That is actually a 1/10 of a second through that sector. He does look visibly closer.
So Harvey's obviously gone a 1/10 slower in that sector, and it's affected him quite badly there. So Saeed getting closer. Is this the time he strikes? Can he make it to second place? And can he do it early enough that he can chase that elusive first win? You know, Optima, they're also looking for their first win, so if for some miracle he can pull this off from 21st on the grid, no less, it will just be incredible scenes. I mean, well, the first time we saw someone win from 21st on the grid, 2KF1 retired on the final lap. You know, there's always that possibility. You know, I'm just
I'm having those. I'm just having flashbacks.
I'm just saying as much stupid stuff I can, so when eventually something happens, it's commentator's curse. You know,
Saeed
I'm just trying
has been able to sneak it down to 0.8 of a second, so the possibility is on because he is catching Daniel Harvey.
I'm just trying to make sure I equally curse everyone. It's, you know, I've said enough about everyone, so just spreading out the love. Yeah, Saeed is catching Harvey now. This is getting inevitable. But will Harvey just defend for the life of him? Because, yeah, he's retired quite a few times this year, and I'm sure he'll want another good podium.
I'm looking at Optima, and of course they do have engine partners Toyota, which is incredibly fitting that they're chasing down DTK. Probably one of the, if not the most famous partnership in Formula FG, DTK Toyota. The DTK actually left that partnership at the start of the season. Toyota were picked up by Optima to supply them with engines, and Omar Saeed here is trying his best to maybe show that that was a mistake.
Yep, well, he's got 0.8 seconds between him. Can he use that Toyota power to catch the Renault in front? Make that 0.6 seconds.
Yeah.
It's an interesting thing to note that DTK so far have only been off the podium once this season, so Harvey's under a lot of pressure to keep the streak up. You know, there's no other team has been that consistent at the top step, or the top 3 steps. So,
well, Harvey himself he's only finished in the points once, hasn't he?
yeah, exactly. He's either had a few spin-offs or won the race or crashed. No, but little message in front of his cockpit's obviously worked out today because he's still on the track. Yeah, it said remember don't crash, and then he crashed, so there's been some sterner words placed by his team boss.
There's further back. Something happened there at Benutza. Whoops.
I haven't mentioned BRT or the curse on them for a long time, so that wasn't my fault. Now, I don't know what's just happened there, but Daniel Harvey's just taken some time out of James McNamara. So something weird's happened.
Well, this could be that moment where the tyres have gone over the cliff, that is for sure. It does seem that that would put Saeed as being the most dangerous member of this quite stretched out pack.
I mean, that's Harvey's issue.
You know, Stefan Berner's not making up any time at the moment. He's more or less gone.
No, 'cause that's Harvey's issue. As much as he might be catching McNamara, he's going to have to spend more time looking behind than forwards. And, you know, as much as he wants to go for first, he's going to have to defend for second, because Saeed's not going to sit there and wait for Harvey to have an attempt at the lead. He's going to try and get that second place as soon as he can. So let's see how they've done through this final sector. It's what, plus 1.642 between the leaders. And it's
exactly the same.
same.
And very, very little difference between Harvey and Saeed as well.
So still not close enough to pull an overtake, and Saeed's only got 5 more laps to do this. So, well, for starters, he's completely ruined my minus 32 prediction. Secondly, it's still an impressive achievement.
Absolutely, that is the case. An idea here, and in fact, Harvey having a really good first sector there.
The team have obviously told him, you're quicker than McNamara in the first sector. Put some pace down and catch him up. You've got 5 laps. You can get this win if you try hard enough. But remember, I mean it, Don't crash.
And if anything, I think Harvey maybe has even just gotten a bit of a gap to Saeed that looks a little bit larger than what it was beforehand. So that or McNamara is a lot closer, and yeah, there you go. So Harvey has made up time to McNamara, or a little bit rather, and has just been able to gap Saeed, who must have made a mistake somewhere. A little bit of a lock-up running a bit wide, because he is dropped off that one completely. Although I think almost the same has happened to Harvey there.
Well, we'll check if they come across the line again, but Harvey...
Because it looks similar again almost, or...
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's lost a bit of time to McNamara and lost a bit of time there to Saeed. So, indeed the case, 4 laps remaining. Harvey, a little bit of a mistake there.
They appear to be equaling out a bit. Harvey's obviously quickest through Sector 1, but Sector 3 is not his favourite. And they're about equal through the middle sector. Bradford's really dropped back, and Rinyaho, well, he's 4 positions away from that magic podium. So he's going to...
4 positions in 4 laps. Easy peasy.
Yeah, but his name's not Saeed, is it? He's the guy who seems to be doing that. Look at that, up 18 places. That is just ridiculous. We haven't really seen that since the days of Jack Hunsley. Yeah, that's...
Well, yeah, exactly, and he's doing quite well, Saeed, but the Optima hasn't been perfectly optimised, is probably the best way of putting it.
I mean, look at that top 10. There's 2 greys, 1 red, orange, and everyone else is green. The race pace has been...
Doesn't say a lot for what's happened. that top 10 has been absolutely decimated by people dropping out and whatnot, so...
Exactly. You know, even Harvey, in one of the most qualifying orientated cars, has made up a position for his grid slot. So, you know, yeah, qualifying's good, but yeah, you know, that's 1 lap. You've got 49 laps to do, and that's where the points are given out. You're going to have to focus on your race skill at some point. So,
ooh, Bradford.
Look.
Running wide there, he's going to give his teammate Tapio Rinyaho maybe a chance at getting an extra position.
Yeah, McNamara's kept that gap pretty safe, and the cap Saeed seems safe as well, so... Yeah, unless something cruel and ironic happens, this looks like a result. Further down, Matthew Allington is still going, and at this point he will be classified.
Yeah, definitely the case. So he's broken the duck, broken the hoodoo.
Yeah.
Probably would have enjoyed it if it was a bit better than 18th, but
he got to run in second for a bit, so yeah, that'll do. You know, baby steps, as we used to say.
His fellow manager driver Carlos Rodriguez having a slightly better time today, up in 15th.
Well, better time than his teammate, who's been buried in that wall he's driving past.
Absolutely. Harvey there, just hovering around a 1.5 second gap to McNamara.
Heading round the final corner for 2 laps to go. Is the gap looking anything different? Well, not visually, and timing wise, no. Harvey's lost time again. He's just not good in that final sector, and unfortunately that's the sector you need to be good in if you want to avoid being overtaken. And Rosella, who's not been finishing races recently, is trying his best to not finish another one, but decided against hitting the wall, and has escaped and promoted Allington up from last to not last.
Let's see now that top 3 are fairly well secured in their positions. It's going to take something big.
As I said,
for anything
As
to
I
change.
said, cruel and ironic.
Stefan Berner looks like he's held down this position quite well. It's a good result for him and for BRT. Utsa was up there as well for a while, but just lacked pace in a couple of key moments, and that's what's really impacted him this afternoon. That's why he's a bit further behind, having also made quite a large mistake just down here, in fact.
For a few more corners before we start the final lap. Top three have settled down in this last few laps. They seem, well, I was going to say happy with their positions. I mean, well, yeah, they will be happy with their positions from where they started. And this will all impact the championship very well. It'll make our next race extremely interesting, with two drivers who qualify near the front on the same amount of points, well clear of the rest of the pack. McNamara heading towards 100 points for the season. Harvey heading towards his second points finish of the season. His first points finish was in first, and his second looks like he's going to be in second. So if he finishes the next race, I'm guessing third. Yeah, that'd be nice. Be a nice, order. Probably.
If it worked like that, indeed, yeah.
I mean, if it starts going fourth and then fifth and then sixth, it'll probably not enjoy that and wanted to go back to being first. But at least it looked pretty. Anyway, Allington looks like he's got past Utsa. That's because Utsa's gone off.
Oh. Transmission.
You know what we're saying about cruel and ironic?
Last lap of the race. Yeah.
Oh dear, sorry Toby. That wasn't my fault.
They just can't get it right. Last lap twice now, that's happened to them. Both times with Berner in really good positions, but it won't make a difference. He would have gotten the same points and cash for the team. But now, around the final corner, comes James McNamara, and what an effort by this man today to be able to take only his second career race win as well. McNamara wins here in Spain, with Daniel Harvey and Omar Saeed soon following him. Stefan Berner now fourth. Joseph Wright in fifth. Jordan Bradford, well, he could have had it today. He really could have. He was right up there, but strategy in the end just probably let him down. Tapio Rinho is getting closer towards that podium, but not quite there yet. Rob Sharp in eighth. Danny Totos is going to have to defend Rui Martins. The run to the line, it's a close one between the Karen and Motorsport car and 2KF1 Racing. It's across the line.
One of the closest finishes.
Very close between those two. Engbrink, Corns, Guardian, Rossello is there, Rodriguez 15th, Matthew Allington all the way up into 16th. Hot diggity damn. And then Luke Rosella should be the final car come across the line in 17th, with Utsa being just retired on the last lap, but will be classified. So confirmation then, James McNamara by 1.5 seconds ahead of Daniel Harvey. Omar Saeed just 6/10, or just a bit under 7 I should say, behind Harvey as well there, for Optima having started in 21st. Stefan Berner for BRT, good result for him once again. Joseph Wright, Jordan Bradford, the two rookies, Raven West and Falcon, getting in there once more, 5th and 6th. Tapio Rinho 7th, Rob Sharp in 8th, and the top 8 all in 20 seconds. You go back 25 seconds will get you to 11th, which is still quite a close race. Danny Totos getting the 2 points ahead of Rui Martins. Tim Engbrink just not enough there at the end either. So what's that as well? That's 0.078 of a second between Totos and Martins.
Yeah, well, at the start I was talking about all these records that could be broken, and none of them were. Apex didn't get any points, so they're still searching 9 points for the Magic 1000. Rinyaho didn't make it to the podium, so he's still waiting for a podium this season, and therefore still waiting for a podium in every season. Didn't win, so he's still not at the top of the leaderboard, although he's slowly chipping away to that.
But he's getting closer.
It doesn't have to just win the next race. So that's an achievement, I suppose. But the ones that did happen, Rosella got to the finish after not finishing for a while, and Matthew Allington, for the first time in 5 races, has seen the checkered flag, not from a TV camera, but behind his visor. So he's going to be happy. I mean, 16th is not great, but it'll do.
Definitely the case. So just quickly going through those results. Corns, Guardian, Rosello, Rodriguez, Allington, Rosella was 12th through 17th. Benutza being 1 lap down, classified, having retired with a transmission failure. Damien Sun, Andrea Dovizioso, Manolis Sigalakis all had incidents. Sun and Dovizioso both going into the wall at turn 3. Manolis Sigalakis getting beached at the final corner. And soon after that, Jack Lasky, his Renault engine just giving up the ghost completely on the main straight. Have a quick look at the fast lap of the race, and that goes to James McNamara, who he's done the Grand Slam there.
Not quite, because he hasn't led every lap.
And win.
Grand Slam involves leading every lap.
I thought that was a Grand Challenge.
Grand Chelem is French for Grand Slam. That's the difference.
I've always heard Grand Slam is the 3.
I've just ruined your day, haven't I?
Sort of, but at the same, I've always heard them be referred to as different things. So, nonetheless, Grand Slam. I called it for Daniel Harvey, and I'm calling it for James McNamara. Grand Slam, or is it a Triple Crown?
It's just pole win and fastest lap. They don't really give it a proper name.
It's got a name. I know it's got a name. That's for sure. Nonetheless, McNamara picking up fastest lap of the race, so he's got all 3 for the Grand Slam Triple Crown threat. Big winner, chicken dinner. 25
points and a bit of bonus money, that'll do.
Definitely the case. So there's McNamara moving up and down.
Did. Go on, scroll down to the bottom. There we go. Look at that.
Straight up.
At the end of the first lap. I mean, that's just insanity. And he kept that going. Didn't quite make it to minus 32 or whatever the actual number should be. I'll check in the comments in a few days. But again, impressive. Just 2 more spots, and he can finally get that most impressive of first wins.
Martin's not having a good time there, going steadily down.
Toto's in 9th is going to be interesting to watch, because he's gone up, flying up, and then dropped a long way and made it all the way back up again. So, I'm going to look at that screen and get dizzy as it goes up, down, up, down, up, down. It's pretty good.
Tapia Rinho as well, having a decent race. He went up and he just never actually moved from that spot. He's all over the place thanks to strategy, but never really moved from 7th place.
Joe's right, didn't have the greatest of race starts really, but made it up in the end.
He was looking menacing, but couldn't hold it. As well as Jordan Bradford. Got himself to the lead a few times, but not too much there. With that, ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of the Spanish Grand Prix. I've actually completely forgotten what the next round is.
It is a race at a Grand Prix circuit, which has the name of... Drum roll, please. It's in France. Dijon! There we go. Dig out the mustard and let's go and have some fun.
Definitely the case. So, getting into the European section of the season thanks to this race as well. French Grand Prix, and then after that, getting into the 100% races as well. The British and German Grand Prix both going to be at 100% distance as opposed to the 75%. So, get ready for that. Start to enjoy it. That'll be on Thursday. Do hope that you guys will be able to join us then. Thank you all for watching. From myself and from Jim.
Goodbye.